what a fantastic initiative. You know, it's an initiative waiting to happen. My clients are absolutely keen to find out who the key influencers are, and they are looking forward to reading the document when it's published. I think Theresa May has a very weak negotiating hand. She doesn't have very many aces in her pack. And as a result, I think we need to look at Germany, we need to look at France, we need to look at Italy and Spain, Eastern Europe. I think that is where the real power is going to lie in this negotiation.
I was actually surprised to see that there was no one from Central European countries in that ranking. The EU 27 will approach the negotiations in a sensible way. Of course, there are some people also here in Britain who think that EU 27 will try to punish Britain for its decision to leave the EU, but I think it's not going to be the case.
It's not going to be just a cool negotiation. There is too much on stake on both sides, both on the European side and on the British side, that we can expect just a cool negotiation. I think it will be very tough, and the outcome is quite uncertain. I can't see how this negotiation will lead to a win-win situation. That's almost impossible. So I tend to think that at the end we're going to have a lose-lose situation.
The people who will pay for Brexit are the people who will lose their jobs or whose wages won't go up as a result. And very ironically, the people that will probably suffer the most for Brexit, the white working class community who voted for Brexit. So I feel they're in for a terrible shock if Brexit ends up to be a hard and dirty Brexit.
Real victims will be the people, the people who will lose their jobs, who will be less well off, because we know that Brexit overall will have an impact on the British GDP. So clearly there are going to be some losers in the British population. The Brexit negotiations are going to be a trade-off between economic interests and politics. And I think, as we've heard tonight in the debate, in the discussion, politics is actually going to play the biggest role. I think, as I've heard today, it's going to be dirty Brexit.
Well, I was a part of the judging panel for the Brexit50, and so it's very interesting to see the final results. But I think it's been really useful what EurActiv have done, because it precipitates discussion about where the balance of power and influence is going to lie in these negotiations. And I think if you look at the list and the discussion, it's quite clear that all the top political leaders in the 27 EU member states are really the ones that are going to hold the cards in this negotiation.
Well, in general terms, I think the ranking is fine. I would agree on most of the positions. What will move positions in the next weeks and months are political events, negotiations, elections all over Europe. That might change the ranking, but I think we selected the right group of people, and now we have to see how political events will evolve in Europe. We are heading into a negotiation which has never happened before in this dimension, so it's very hard to guess how it's going to be evolved.
We have more than 12,000 pieces of legislation that we decided jointly with the European Union, and we're going to have to decide what to do with those. And the scale of that challenge is massive.